Hello, everyone. Just giving you a bit of a heads up of something new that I'm trying for Remember 64. Another way to hear from you, the listener and viewer of the show. voicecast.app/Remember64. Voicecast is a cool new thing that I found from a couple other creators that have been using them. This is a great way to send a audio message to the show. It's something that you can share about episodes, games, things you want us to cover. Sure, social media is a way to do it, but this is a way to actually have your voice on the show. It is completely free. voicecast.app/Remember64. Leave us a message. It's completely free. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on a browser, and you can find the link on social media as well and at the description of this episode on your podcast app of choice. All right, on with the show, everyone. Welcome to Remember 64, where this week we're going to the arcade, sort of, space, and who knows where else. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. If you're a returning listener and viewer, hi, welcome. And if you are here for the first time, also, welcome. Here on Remember 64, we play and discuss the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between for the Nintendo 64's library. We will cover them all, whether you like it or not. My name is David Petrangelo, and I'm dodging lasers, picking up random power-ups, and holding down the A button as long as humanly possible until my thumb gets sore, which, let's be honest, at this age, happens in about 20 to 30 minutes. So that's where we're at this point. Jiggylookback, with me again. Hello.
Yo, I can say my thumb holds out a little bit longer because I'm a little bit younger, so I get a solid 45 minutes before I start cramping up.
Impressive.
But yeah.
Impressive.
But I
work,
pretty much
sir.
spam the big laser anyways as much as I can, and then I die when I don't have it. So there you go.
You're not dodging? You got to dodge, man. It's the skill.
Yeah,
skill of
no,
dodge.
it's not me. It's not really my style.
Not your style? Okay. All right.
Nah, I just puncture a giant laser through everything. And if
It's
I don't
not
have
about
it,
it's not about the nuance.
I
It's
lose.
about the aggression. Just approach it with
Exactly.
aggression. Hey, whatever gets the
Exactly.
job done gets you to point A to point B. That's what really matters. So, we have a guest for this episode. Someone brought the game to our attention to cover this on the show. Writer, gaming, sports lover, head of the great newsletter, website, blogs, all these different things. A lot of great work out there. Marc Normandin is on the show and brought Star Soldier Vanishing Earth to our attention to Remember 64. Marc, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I figured no one else was going to bring that game up, which I guess is kind of my thing.
It's good. Hey, you know what? I've said this a bunch of times and say it to pretty much every guest that I maybe even said it to you when we were messaging each other. If it's a game I haven't played and in this case haven't really heard of, I'm actually more excited because I'd like to play something that's new, but retro is something that you don't run into too often. So, and especially on a console that I played growing up. So this is awesome. I guess just before we get into the game itself, let's talk a little bit about your work out there, because I mentioned a bunch of things that you're doing and everything, but I'm sure you do a much better job of explaining your work. So, Marc, tell us about yourself.
Well, on the gaming side, I have a retro newsletter. It's RetroXP. It's on Beehive now. I moved from Substack earlier this year.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I've got some of the importing growing pains there, but I'm catching articles that didn't move over and updating links and all that happy stuff. I've been writing that for 5 years now, I think.
Oh, it's been that long. Hey, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I kicked it off with a project where I ranked the 101 best Nintendo games. Like Nintendo published,
yeah.
Nintendo developed games.
Yep.
And by the time I finished it, I didn't like the list anymore. So that's
Yeah, I can relate to that.
it took I don't know, like 18 months to do it, because instead of just like doing like here's a list, it was like I'm going to write a feature on every single one of these games.
Right.
And I'm like,
right.
I played way more than I ended up writing about in ranking,
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, because you got to whittle them down a little bit, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, there's something like, I can't remember the exact number, but there's like 1,400 Nintendo games,
Jeez.
So, if people got really mad about something being like ranked 90th instead of like in the top 20, it's like we're talking about like a fraction of like a percentage point of a percentage point difference.
Yeah.
We're talking about
Yeah,
we're talking about
doesn't.
the top 3% of the games they've ever made, like you can chill out.
Yeah, people get mad no matter what.
In that
Yeah.
101, is there, and because obviously it took some time, like you mentioned and stuff, are there any particular ones that you were like, oh yeah, maybe that could have been anywhere on the list, or oh yeah, maybe that was like really close to making it? Is there anything that like stands out like that like if you were to do it again and maybe do it in 18 days instead of 18 months, like what would you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I had a couple of just missed.
because that's always tricky when you sort of make like even just like a personal list of a top 5 or 10, right? It's like, oh, what was 11, what was 14, like so
Yeah.
close.
Well, see, what was funny about this is like, if I'm remembering, number 100 was like Link to the Past,
Right. Okay.
which people got like mad,
Oh, yeah.
briefly mad about, but like I used it to explain like the next 2D Zelda was a better game than this.
Right.
There have been better Zeldas than this. It's like if we're gonna get through a list where like 10 Zeldas make it, one of the ones you love is gonna be back here. And it's like, I
Yeah.
understand your childhood has its grips on you or what, it has its grip on you or whatever, but like they made better ones with better temples with different mechanics or whatever.
Yeah, the mechanics are updated, the UI, the HUD, like all those types of things, like it makes a difference.
So if you've got Link to the Past that far back,
Yeah.
that like you are leaving some great games off. Like I didn't put Super Mario World. I didn't put Yoshi's Island. Yeah, I mean they're both great, but it's just like we're talking about like if that's the level we're working with, where like Link
Yeah.
to the Past barely made it, then it's like, oh yeah, some stuff's gonna be left off.
Of course.
But there's also a little bit of like trying to include, there's so many Mario games, there's so many Zelda games. So at some point you're kind of like, well, instead of adding another one of those, do I want to put in like Drill Dozer on Game Boy Advance?
Nice.
Like I think in like the 90s or whatever, or
Yep.
like, but it's like you're not gonna, if you just go by like what's popular, or what was critically acclaimed, then you're gonna miss out on like, hey, they actually did a lot of other really cool stuff that maybe people didn't play or they forgot about.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, I kept off Kirby Planet Robobot. It's a game that I really love. Orbiant. I don't know if you remember the WiiWare series where they did the art style games.
I looked at that sounds familiar.
Orbiant was really great. I can't remember what it was called on the because they had like a Game Boy Advance version, maybe just in Japan. But man, yeah, there were a lot of them. That it's
Yeah,
like I would like
there's
to
always
jump
something,
to
right? Yeah.
if I do it again, and I would like to rearrange some of it.
Yeah.
I'd probably do like 151 because haha Pokemon, but
The only Pokemon
Pokemon
that
on the
matter.
list?
Let's be honest.
it's also like I did the list in 2020 and finished in like spring of 2021 maybe,
right.
and then it's like, oh, here's Metroid Dread.
Yes.
It's like,
oh my
great
god.
game.
Yeah.
Shit. Oh, can I swear on this?
You
podcast?
can swear as long as man. Fuck
Okay.
it. Swear as long as as much as you want.
I like to ask first, but it's
Fair enough.
that game comes out and I'm like, oh, this game's amazing. This
Yeah.
game fucked up my whole list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
They're just
messes
like,
up
no,
even
like,
like just your Metroid picks, right? Like even just
Yeah,
that
'cause
alone
it's
within
like-
that franchise. Yeah.
Well, because it's like, okay, so the remake of Metroid 2.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason I ranked it like as well as I did is because it was the only kind of Metroid that was like that. But now it's like, well, Metroid Dread is like an exponentially better version of that game. So not only do you have to find a place for Metroid Dread, but you have to bump that one back.
Right. Right. That's
There's,
fair
I mean,
enough.
I don't know if I have to care about all this stuff, but like, I like Mario Galaxy better than Mario Odyssey. But because I had Super Mario Galaxy 2 ranked really highly, I moved Galaxy back a few spots behind Odyssey because it's like, well, they're so
Right.
similar.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I don't know if I twisted myself into weird pretzels I didn't need to, or if doing that stuff made it work better. But it's 5 years later, and I'm still thinking about it. So
And you always will be.
Yeah, it's just gonna haunt me forever.
I'm
So that's cool.
I'm glad I brought it up to make sure that you don't get any sleep tonight.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So I transitioned to after I finished that list. I was like, cool. I have a good base. I got like a good. I'm like back in writing about games because I used to cover games. I like briefly didn't leave sports, but I stopped doing sports quite as much, and I did more games. And I was like an editor for an indie digital magazine. And I left games for a bit because it was like, oh wow, I'm just constantly playing things and moving on to the next one, and I don't think this is very fun anymore. But now, like, kind of picking and choosing what I want, and I do freelance work for Paste a couple times a month.
Nice.
And some other places when I can get the assignments.
Yeah.
But it's nice because I can kind of pick and choose what I'm doing, and I write about like 100 games a year at RetroXP, but it's what I want to play anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not.
Doesn't feel like a huge task or job or something. Like it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I start feeling like I'm falling behind on something, it's like, well, don't play an RPG.
Yeah.
Oh
my God.
Like play a few arcade games and you've caught up. Like,
man, there's so many like RPGs or like big games that come out even like in the last like few years where I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna love this game. I just do not have the time, and I want to play other things, and I want to make sure I have enough attention to the games that we're doing on this show. Like I don't want to let these ones slide because to me this is the most fun I have when I'm playing games is playing these things because I don't know, it's just it's great whether it's new or whether it's something I haven't played in a while. So I kind of get that feeling. I guess the question is there a particular N64 game that you think? Or is there one? I should have actually. I knew this list was something you had, but what is the highest ranked N64 game? I know I'm kind of like picking at the scab of you being like, oh, everyone's going to be upset about this, about that pick, but I just want to let people know.
I don't think anyone will argue. Actually, no, people would argue with me.
Of course, there's always someone.
It's Majora's Mask is the highest ranked one.
Nice.
Nice.
Which I think the people who would argue with me are ones who say Ocarina of Time, but
sure. Yeah.
And Ocarina of Time's great, and it's influential, and it's important, but one of the things I was doing with the list was completely removing influence. My argument was essentially like, if you're talking about how important something is, and you're using that as a qualifier, then it's like, you just end up with Super Mario Brothers #1.
And like, I mean, not on this list in particular, and Tetris, right? Like, it's like those are the two games.
Yeah, so like you kind of back yourself into those situations. So that's why it's like if someone says, well, Ocarina of Time's more important than Majora's Mask, it's like, I don't care. Like, Majora's Mask is a better game.
Right.
It's better right now. It was better then, it's better now. Like, that's what I care about is what's the most fun to play right this second.
Yeah, what can you go back to multiple times? Things like those things can matter. Yeah, even for a large game like that. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I was guessing that you were going to say Ocarina of Time, but I'm glad you said Majora's Mask because I prefer Majora's Mask to Ocarina of Time, and I've argued about that.
I've been arguing about it for 25 years now.
There you go. Yeah, we played it for the show. We haven't done Ocarina of Time yet. Majora's Mask was like when we did it. It was the first time I played more than just a few minutes of it, and I played the entire thing. So like that was just last year, the year before, so it was really recent for me. Ocarina of Time I grew up playing, but that's because it feels like everybody had that game and it was just that title like you mentioned. But I haven't played that game in at least 20 years, at least longer than the first like opening half hour. So when we get to that, I think that's going to be interesting too, because now I'll have a more recent memory or a memory at all of Majora's Mask, and I can compare the two. And not that one has to be better than the other and blah blah, all that kind of argument or whatever, but like
they do
absolutely. I am crazy to think otherwise. But it would just be interesting to kind of, from my own perspective, be like, oh, now I can really sit here as an adult and not as a 14-year-old or 12-year-old playing it, and like really think of like the nuances and things like that too, which could be cool. So that's great.
So yeah, I can run down quick which N64 games made it, actually.
Oh yeah.
That'd be neat.
So Blast Corps, Oh,
Oh,
I should say, I was
Interesting.
very specific about like, so like if Rare published it, it
Mhm.
doesn't count, you know. And certain things where it's like it has to be Nintendo had to have published it, and it has to be something that like did not get released in a bunch of other places.
okay, gotcha.
So like they published some like Dragon Quest remakes or whatever,
Mhm.
and it's like that's not a Nintendo game, you know.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
I mean, you hear people talk about this sometimes. There's some websites that'll be like brand new Nintendo game, and it's like, excuse me, it's like a Square Enix game or something, and it's like that's on a Nintendo system. It's not a Nintendo game. You can't.
That's the
Can't be
thing I
doing
think
that.
of all the time when you like, for anyone that has Netflix or anyone people that don't, where it's like, oh, it's a Netflix movie or Netflix production. It's like, no, you just bought it, is what you did.
Yeah.
Like you just bought.
Arrested Development. That's all
Yeah,
it's for.
right. Yeah, that
That's not-
exact. Friends, like what the fuck you talking about? Like shit like that. Like it's. I get it. That's just how the industry works for that stuff. But also, like, no, like I know they're fooling people by doing that. I know they are. And that's why they do it. But you didn't make this. You just signed the check. After the fact after it was even done. You're just paying for the distribution, right? It's just, anyways, tangent. See, Jiggy, tangents all over the place.
happens.
You can't take
So,
me
yeah,
anywhere these
we
days.
have, Blast Core, and then Star Wars Rogue Squadron. And my excuse for including that had to do with the fact that Factor 5 convinced Nintendo to make the expansion pack commercial.
Oh,
Because it was supposed to just be for the 64 disk drive.
yeah, the
In
DD.
Japan.
Yeah.
Like, that was, it was supposed to be just a developer side thing, and they were like, well, let's make that like commercial thing. But
Really?
like, honestly, like if I redo this list, I'll probably take that off. Because
okay.
I think I'm gonna be stricter about some stuff.
Okay. All right.
Paper Mario
Yes.
and
God, what a game.
Pokemon Snap. Oh, I had 3 N64 games in a row. Paper Mario, Pokemon Snap, and then Super Mario 64. Probably a lot earlier than people expected to see it. But right there, neck and neck with Sunshine. I like them
Oh, nice.
pretty much equally,
Yeah.
but in
Sun-
different ways.
I gotta play Sunshine. Never played it.
Really good.
Yeah,
I guess this
so you're-
doesn't. Oh, I have Puzzle League just as like a series here, which has an N64 entry.
Yes.
Ogre Battle 64. That's another one I'll probably take off. But Nintendo published that in Japan.
Okay.
So, and it's the only, it's not like there's Tactics Ogre, but Ogre Battle is like this separate.
It's a separate thing.
You know,
Yeah. That is one where we need to like give ourselves lots of time, I hear. So
So good.
it's nice and long, apparently.
Yeah, you will enjoy the time you spend with it.
Great.
Then
I'm looking forward to
Ocarina
it.
of Time. Then Sin and Punishment.
Oh man, that's one that me and Jiggy were gonna play, and then
That's the last
and then I had a kid, and then I didn't do anything for 6 months.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
play it.
I gotta pick it back up. I don't think I finished it when we said we were gonna cover it. So,
It is amazing.
yeah,
Star Fox 64.
yeah.
And then Smash Bros. Oh, I don't like the N64 Smash Brothers, but I included the whole series as a thing here. That's another
fair.
thing I did where
That's
it was
fair.
like, I don't want to write about Smash Brothers 6 times or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like Smash Brothers series. It's very important. It's
Mario Kart series, like that kind of thing too. Like,
Yeah, I actually did for Mario Kart. I did Double Dash and 8.
that's fair.
Because Double Dash was, I think, the first of the amazing 3D ones, and it's very distinct from the rest of the series.
None of them,
and
none
then-
other ones are like it. Like it
Yeah.
stands on its own for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. And all the other ones are kind of like working up toward what Mario Kart 8 is, and Mario Kart 8 is the best of those.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Pretty much.
I
and
have
then
high
Majora's
hopes
Mask.
for Mario Kart World.
Yeah, it looks pretty
Hey,
cool.
it looks
looks
cool.
awesome.
I had my, even though I have a somewhat limited experience with Double Dash, I was kind of hoping they would add that as like a mode or something, but maybe they will. You never know. Maybe that'll be.
There's a rumor going
Probably
around.
put it on NSO, so.
Yeah, they probably
could.
will.
That's true.
There's a rumor
They could
going
do that.
around that there's going to be the potential of like getting off your cart and running around, which I don't know if that's true, but it'd be awesome if you could.
Oh. Yeah.
Imagine if you could like play with a friend, be driving co-op like around the world, you both hop off your carts and just like swap. That
swap
would be
the car. Why? Because you're like running from the cops and you need to like switch cars so they don't know who's who. Like, is that why?
GTA Mario Kart. It'd be kind of awesome.
Or like,
Get
you
your car
know,
painted.
you run into something and your buddy crashes and they have to like jump onto your cart, and that's how the double dash starts.
Oh,
I'm sure
that'd be
that's super
awesome.
easy to figure out. I'm sure they can figure it. I'm sure they got this. No, that's an easy programming. No problem. I make games. I know how things work.
Yeah.
And then I guess Majora's Mask is up there. Where was Majora's Mask actually in that list anyway? I'm curious.
Fourth.
Oh, fourth. Nice. Oh shit. Damn. Top 5, top 10, top 5. That's awesome. Sweet. Okay, so check out Mark. Where can everybody find it again? That's part of RetroXP, I assume.
Yeah, it's RetroXP. It's now .beehive, which has 2 I's in it. I don't know why, but yeah, retroxp.beehive.com.
Sweet. I'll put a link in the show notes too. So if anyone can't remember or isn't writing it down or whatever, I'll make sure it's in there so people can link straight to it. You can find that list and all the other games that you've been playing and covering and stuff. So, okay, we're gonna get to Star Soldier: Vanishing Earth in just a second. I just want to make sure that I let everybody know that you can find us across the internet. Of course you can, because that is where you find this show. Remember 64 on all your podcast feeds. Give us a rating and tell your friends. That is the best way that more people can find us. And whether it's just through discoverability or it is just word of mouth, that is probably the 2 most powerful things you can do as far as getting shows out there to everybody. So make sure you do that. You can also find us on YouTube as well. Remember 64, where you can find some ridiculous shorts that I have ideas and random sleepy thoughts on at 2 o'clock in the morning that I create, which is the last couple that I've done. I'm like, ooh, I have this crazy idea and I can't sleep because my kid's crying. So this is what I'm going to do. Also some gameplay videos. Every once in a while I will stream as well. Very inconsistent with that, but I try to share some hours every couple of weeks with playing some games, whether they're 64 or otherwise. And patreon.com/remember64 show. You can support the show for as little as $1 a month. You can get pre-show chats. You can get some exclusive episodes where I talk about other games that I've been playing that are not from the N64. And you can get every single episode nice and early, usually at least a week or just a little bit, sometimes even more than that. So all that stuff is available for you there. And what am I forgetting, Jiggy? I feel like I'm forgetting something.
I thought you did great.
Oh my God.
I thought you did great this time.
Thanks. Thanks.
5 stars, which is what people should rate the podcast.
Boom. Boom. Thank you. Well, as long as Jiggy said I did a good job, I feel like I did a good job. So let's get to it. Let's talk about Star Soldier: Vanishing Earth. Mark, I know you've been talking for a little bit, but because you're the guest and because you chose this game, one, briefly sort of touch on your experience with the 64 in general and why this game in particular, because at least for me, like I mentioned earlier, it's not a game that I have any familiarity with. So for me, it felt like, oh, this one came out of left field, but for a lot of people, yourself included, it did not. So yeah.
I don't know if I go so far as a lot of people, but so I got an N64, not quite at launch, but I don't know, within that first year, you know. God, I think the games I probably played the game I probably played the most on it was Perfect Dark, which I know, even though that was late, I just kept playing it and playing it and playing it, you know, for years after. I can't imagine I played anything else as much as I played Perfect Dark on that. But I don't know. I love that. I love that system. I love the controller. It's probably I'm not I like emulating. I'm a really kind of like original hardware guy when you can, but I understand that's not always feasible. You know, I'm not gonna go out and buy a 3DO, so
Yeah.
Right.
I gotta figure out another way to do things. The N64 though is like the one system where I don't want to emulate anything, and part of that is part of that's visual. You know, it's actually I feel like people give it kind of a lot of shit for what like the visuals look like, but I think they're playing through like standard cables on a TV. You know, they're like hooking it up to a TV it shouldn't be hooked up to or whatever, and playing it. It's
64
like, wow,
on your 50-inch TV. It's like that's like
it's like, yeah, of course it looks terrible.
Anything from that era is gonna look worse in that condition. In that
but I've got yeah, exactly. I've got my 64 is hooked up like through S-Video to a nice CRT in the basement, and
Nice.
it looks awesome, you know.
Nice.
And whenever you try and play, so like Star Fox 64, even if you try and play like the Wii, the version on like the Wii U,
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to like dodge quickly by pressing a C button, but now that has been mapped to an analog stick, and like the amount of time it takes to like double tap an analog stick compared to just pressing the C button, it like messes with the experience, and it just doesn't feel right. And that's the case for so many of the games. Like something is just off in the controls all the time. So that's the one where I'm like, no, I want to play on original hardware.
Bring back the C buttons. They
Which
only
has
brought
made
one back.
Only one, and you can't do anything with it. You just press it.
Yeah.
And it's not really gameplay related as far as we know. So
It's it made me a person who went out and bought a copy of I imported a copy of Sin and Punishment, because I'm like, yeah, I had a lot of fun
Nice.
playing it on the
Wow.
Wii, and like they adjusted the controls and it was fine enough. And then I played it like in the way you're supposed to with the controller that it was designed around. It's like, oh, okay, I like this even more now.
Yeah, I mean, Jiggy, you're
a lot of stuff like that.
you're on this page for sure, where it's like that the control. I mean, I think it sounds like all three of us are, but like the controller is something special, right? Like I know that's something that you definitely write home about for sure. Yeah,
I'm not gonna say it's not an unpopular opinion, but it's not a popular opinion. I go back and forth with so many people about it, but I also like the GameCube controller, and people also give me flack about that. So
yeah,
it's
I
kind of like,
I do not like it. Although I have far less experience with it than I think a lot of people, but
Man,
I find it really awkward.
that little yellow C nipple is amazing. I love it.
Sure.
I just don't like the D-pad. That's my only complaint about it.
Yeah,
I
the
like
D-pad's
rest of
too
my controller.
small. Too small.
But that's kind of like, so that's a controller that was designed after everyone went, okay, like 3-dimensional movement one.
Right.
We don't need digital anymore.
Right.
Whereas
right.
the N64 was that perfect blend of like, we don't quite know which
We don't
way
know yet.
things are going yet. So like, let's do everything. And I love that about it.
And I would argue that, like, especially in like the original sort of like an actual Nintendo controller, like the joystick feels great on the 64. Like it to me, it has always felt like it really makes sense. Like you're describing, where it's like, oh no, this is what it's supposed to feel like. And I feel like that's always the case with the joystick. Some games handle controls better than others, no matter what console you're talking about. But I find that that's always been a strength of it. And then when you get a reproduction controller, like one that's digital or whatever, it's not the same, even if you're playing the same game. There is a difference there.
Yeah. The shame that the sticks kind of break over time or get loose over time.
Mine snaps.
Because the actual
Yeah.
Playing Earthworm Jim of all games.
Oh man, the actual movement and the precision of that stick is so good. Like, Sony didn't touch that until the PlayStation 4, basically. Like, as far as like a comfortable stick that does what you want it to do.
Yeah.
I would argue the PS5, but that's just my opinion. That's the only one. I'm just not a PlayStation controller fan in general. I think the 5 is the one that feels the most comfortable, but I'm just not a fan of the layout of the joysticks being in the middle. It's just not my thing. That's just not.
That's funny. I like the original
in particular.
I like the original. It didn't have joysticks, and like that's
Right.
fine. And then it's like they slap those twin sticks on it, and I'm like, I don't like these sticks, and I don't like the placement, and I don't like anything about this anymore.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so why Star Soldier, man? Is this like one of the games that you were always playing growing up, like along with Sin and Punishment and Perfect Dark, or no? Okay.
No, this one I didn't play until I was an adult, really. Okay. So when the Wii had Virtual Console, and that really got me going on like TurboGrafx stuff. And Hudson's various shooters, a few of those games made it onto the Virtual Console service. That's where I was introduced to like Superstar Soldier, Final Soldier, Soldier Blade, and then Star Soldier R, Superstar Soldier R. I can't remember what they called it. Star Soldier R. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize there were so many.
There's a bunch.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah,
when I was looking it up, it's wild how many there are.
Wow.
Yeah. So Star Soldier R was basically just a caravan mode, and they kind of introduced it with like, here's an online competition. That's how we're like getting you into this kind of game, because caravan modes had like kind of fallen by the wayside by, it was like 2008 or whatever. And like that's where I found out like what that even was.
Yeah.
And I played it and played it and played it and played it, and I had some pretty high ranking scores because I was playing probably too much.
Just enough.
Yeah, then like
just enough.
Then going back, and finding like, oh cool, there's also like, I didn't have an NES growing up. Like I was old enough, but I just didn't have one. My cousins had one, and they didn't have any shoot 'em ups or anything. So, I'm like, oh, there's Star Soldier, and there's Hector 87 or Starship Hector, and like, oh, they did a Parodius style game for Star Soldier with Bomberman in it. Star Parodier on the TurboGrafx.
Oh, I missed that. That's crazy.
Or on the PC Engine, I guess. So it's like, oh wow, there's a lot of these, and then I'm like, oh, the N64 doesn't have any shoot 'em ups. I don't know, or not many shoot 'em ups, and it's like, oh, there's a Star Soldier game on it. Like, cool, I love Star Soldier. So I ended up buying a cartridge. I don't think it cost too much. It didn't sell super well or anything, but it's like not incredibly rare and not held in high enough regard for people to straight up gouge on it, or
right.
Not back then. Probably now, if I look it up, I'll be like, oh, that's what it costs.
Oh shit. Yeah, probably.
But whenever I got it, it was like, it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, but that was like, as long as it was.
Oh yeah, it's $55 now.
55.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By price charting.
Yeah.
That is absolutely not what I paid for it when I got it.
I think like that, and you know what? As long as you purchased it before like 2019, 2020, you probably got it for a much more reasonable price.
Yeah. I'm thinking, I don't think I even paid $30 for it.
Yeah.
So
you sort of like fell in love with this one as you did with some of the others, or was it more of like sort of a process, or like what's the sort of?
It's different than the others by a considerable amount.
Okay.
So this kind of introduced the chaining for scores.
Oh, this is the one that introduced that. Oh, okay. I thought that was an interesting idea that I was picking up on as I was playing it. Yeah.
Yeah, they had different ways. So the way you'd boost your score in like the TurboGrafx ones is there was all this stuff to kind of destroy all over the place that like weren't enemies. But it was like, oh, destroy as much stuff in the areas you can, and you'll find bonuses, and you'll get more points for doing stuff like that.
Which is kind of common in games like this. I feel like that's not super rare. At least ones that I can remember playing. I don't even know what name or what game I'm thinking of.
But instead of like buildings or kind of destructible environments, it was straight up just like, there's all this shit everywhere. Just like it's all organized, and you clearly are supposed to like that box. Oh,
I see. Gotcha. Like, yeah. Okay.
And it's some of them had different colors and everything. Like, oh, there's items under that color, and there's so this one kind of went in a different direction. I mean, first of all, it's 3D,
right?
But yeah, the chaining was new, and it's kind of like, Cave, that developer, had started making shoot 'em ups, and Dodonpachi did a big thing with chaining. That was like integral to the whole experience. And it's interesting, like the score focused stuff for Star Soldier games was really more about the caravan mode, not the main gameplay. The main gameplay was like a bunch of stuff's gonna try and kill you, see if you could survive, and the real old ones were kind of more about scoring, but it was because of the caravan stuff as well. So this is the first one where emphasis on scoring in the game, like in the main game itself, became kind of the big deal. But it's also
because to sort of explain it to people, if anyone hasn't played it or doesn't know quite how they do it, what they do is basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, if this is pretty much on the basic level of how it works, you basically, it has like this really, really quick timer in the top left corner, and you have to basically always be shooting something in order to keep that multiplier going. And it counts how many shots or how many things you are hitting from 0 to thousands and thousands. So you can get up to almost, I assume, I never did this, but I assume you can get through an entire level always hitting something or getting very close to that. And the more you do that, the more it multiplies your score, and you kind of go from there, and you can use your different weapons and obviously your movement and stuff to sort of make it happen. But, you know, the levels and the enemies are pretty much set up so that if you are able to and understand the levels or be able to read them and all that kind of stuff, you can keep that number going up and up and up. And it's almost, is it 1 second? That's like half a second where it resets. So it's really fast.
It's fast, yeah.
It's super, super fast. So it is really a skill-based thing. It's not just, hey, let's just see what the number can be. You really have to think about what you're doing on top of trying to survive in a game like this. Anyways, I just thought I would, get to that.
Yeah, so they hadn't done that sort of thing necessarily before. So it's kind of a different approach, different development team that had been going. They kind of based the TurboGrafx and PC Engine Star Soldier games on Compile's Blazing Lasers, which was a huge change to do the series like that in the first place, because the original Star Soldier was based on Tecmo's Star Force.
Oh yeah, that's right. I had that. I wrote that down in the notes too. The Star Force. Yeah.
Yeah, they did the Famicom port for it, and then Tecmo did the NES one. But so Hudson did. They had their first Caravan Festival, which I don't know if you know what they did for the Caravan Festival.
No, I don't.
So they had a big yellow van with a B on it, which is because it's Hudson. You know? But they would essentially drive a chosen game around Japan, and let people play it, and you would people are trying to do the best high scores, and
sure, yeah.
They became these very popular tournaments to the point where it was like, okay, specific games were made with the Summer Caravan in mind, and then there were competing caravans as well because of the success Hudson saw with this stuff. So this first one happened. They used Star Force, even though they just were responsible for the port. So they were like, "Oh, we should make our own game."
Make one, yeah.
So they made Star Soldier, as like their original work, and it's very it's different than Star Force, but it's very clearly like it could be a sequel if you didn't know anything. You just be like, "Oh, this is just what happens when you release a game like a year or two after the year after the previous one."
Yeah.
But then they just kept making it like that, and they introduced the caravan mode into these games over time, so you could just at home, here's your 2-minute challenge, here's your 5-minute challenge,
right,
score as many points
which this has,
in that time.
Yeah.
And now you see the caravan stuff has gone on so much. It used to just be Hudson and Maxat, and a couple companies, and now there's a lot of all those arcade archive games have caravan mode, which is the 2-minute or 5-minute challenge, and Terrorin, who does a lot of throwback shooters to the time of Compile and Star Soldier and all that stuff. A lot of those games have caravan modes in them too,
right?
So it's cool that it's persisted, but it got started with Hudson driving a van around and being like, who wants to see who's the best at Star Force?
That's crazy.
How much
that's
those vans cost?
Yeah.
Those vans are floating around somewhere, and they're probably so exclusive. The dude from Top Gear probably has it.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah. If anyone's gonna have it, it'd be those guys. Yeah. Did you? So you played this a little bit later and stuff. Jiggy, what about you? I think you mentioned that you had.
I had this.
You owned it.
Oh wow.
I owned it. Yeah, I had this as a kid.
Man, you're so cool. I never had any of this kind of shit.
So okay, let me explain why I had this. This was
you don't have to explain. Just say you sat at the cool kids table. It's okay.
I got the N64. Obviously, I'm younger. I got it in '99.
Yeah.
Okay. And so because I was on that back end, I think I've said this before, but my dad and I had the opportunity to go to places that were we were also in that spot where movie rental stores started closing down and stuff. So we would go, and there were several that were just closing down and just getting rid of inventory. This is one of those games that I just randomly thought, hey, this is kind of cool. And we just added it to the pile. My dad bought me 40, 50 games.
Oh my
Like, it was awesome. This is one of them. I played the crap out of it. Never beat it. But I really enjoyed it, and I liked I played as the blue ship the most. But if I had to pick between the ships, I don't know, the green one was pretty cool too. I think the red one was my least favorite. I have their names and everything pulled up here, but we don't need to get into that quite yet. But
we will. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get
I
to
just
our
love the
favorites and
special,
stuff.
like just flying around. I really love Star Fox 64, and in my mind, this was very similar to that. Just like it's different, but it was like giving me Star Fox 64 vibes. So it was like another outlet for me in that way. But yeah, I just thought it was really cool. And the fun fact about this, so closing out my mom's house, she was selling her house and moving, and was going through old stuff. This is one of 2 games that I found the box for.
Oh snap!
I had the box for Star Soldier. It wasn't like super great shape, but it was like intact, and I was like, this is pretty dope.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. I think at the time I looked up like an inbox copy, and it was something stupid like $300 or something. I'm like, oh my
It still
gosh,
is, yeah.
That's
it
crazy.
was pretty cool. It was just cool. You want to know what the other game was? You're gonna love it.
Ooh. I mean,
I had 2 boxes. They were right on top of each other, like they
Really?
were flattened out, and I had them. And the other one was Superman 64.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
It was awesome. Yeah.
2
So
equally caliber games, obviously.
Yep. I swap between them. You know, play Superman, play Star Soldier, play Superman.
And
Star
you know
Soldier.
what? I could see that. Like you said, like, oh, I played the shit out of this, but I never beat it. But it's kind of one of those games, especially at a younger age, where that's totally fine. You know, it's
kind of hard. Like,
dude,
you gotta
I found
get
it.
good.
I found it hard. I'll get into sort of the
Yeah.
details of like why I suck at this game, but like, I was like, what the like? Is something wrong with me? What am I doing? I can't. I thought I was good at these games growing up, and I just was not. So did
it's
you?
funny, if you look at like, you know, the boards, like where people talk about shoot 'em ups,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, this one's so easy, whatever, it takes like no time, and it's just like, it's easy for you because you are a person who posts on a board of
Specifically.
shoot 'em ups. Yeah, like
Yeah.
most people,
Yeah.
it's
Come
gonna
on.
take some doing, you know.
Come on.
Like, yeah, I can beat it or whatever, but I'm not like, oh yeah, that was a cinch or whatever. It's like, no, this has its moments, and if you like play the wrong way, or you use the wrong kind of ship or whatever, or you never master the dodge, you know, the reflecting thing, like,
No, I
yeah,
couldn't.
it's gonna be really hard.
I like it, but I couldn't. I definitely could not.
You need
Master is not a word that I would use in my experience playing this game. I'll tell you that. Jiggy, did you have some time to revisit it and stuff? What'd you think if you did?
I did. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I was having fun. I feel like I played it very similar to I did when I was a kid. Like, I popped in and I was like switching between the ships. Like, I'd basically just play till I died.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, do you want to continue? I'd be like, no. And then I'd go back and then I'd swap my ship and then I'd be experimenting with all the weapons and stuff. I just thought that was super cool. And I still think the blue one's my favorite. I remember the blue one being my favorite. I think it's still my favorite. Although the main weapon is not my favorite. The green one's way cooler, I think.
Find the green
But
one here.
I also was looking at the stats, which is something I never really paid attention to as a kid. But I'm like, do these really affect it? I don't know if I could really.
I don't
You
know.
look at, like, it's just like move and roll and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know if it's that dramatic of a change that it really makes a difference.
Also, too, it's like, because I didn't. It's not like I played this for hours and hours and hours. Like, I wasn't endlessly playing this in the last couple of weeks, but like, wouldn't you just look at the move and roll bar and be like, I'll just take the one that's maxed out?
That's the best.
Like,
That's exactly why.
Isn't that just the best one? Like, why take the one that's half that? Like, why wouldn't you just?
Right.
I don't know.
But the weapons, that's what you have to like play around with.
That's what changes.
You have to play around with the weapons with each ship.
Yeah.
Those are really the deciding factor, and they each have unique weapons and they feel different, and it's kind of awesome.
Yeah. I did like
What's
that,
funny
and
about
it was
the-
unexpected. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
So it's funny they have the multiple ships here because the other I can't. It's a good thing I can't say the word soldier right now, right after star. That's not important to what we're doing or anything. older Star Soldier games.
Oh,
tongue
okay,
twister.
okay.
Had one ship, but you had multiple weapons, and you could go, especially after,
You like pick them up or something?
yeah, and especially after Blazing Lasers, where they like combine, because that was the compiled style of doing things. Was like you're experimenting by combining different things together and getting kind of attacks and weapons that you wouldn't have had like on their own, or they're upgraded in some way. Um, so here they just, instead of having you can make whatever your weapon is stronger, but you can't switch your weapon.
Right.
Which
Right.
is not how a few of the previous ones worked. But instead, they're like, okay, what if we take 3 of the established weapon types from these games and make each of them a ship?
Right. That makes sense.
Okay.
Which is kind of a different way to do it. And previously, the bombs, which here, what are they? X arms, like
X
EX
arm.
arms.
Yeah, I think it's X arm. Yeah.
Yeah. So those would be like you'd have options maybe flying around your ship, and you could like sacrifice them as a bomb. Kind of, so it's a different
Okay.
situation than here. But here they do more the like screen clearing bomb thing, limited use. So it's an interesting. It's like a bunch of new stuff and then like old stuff, but kind of presented in a different way.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you?
so
So you have obviously much. I mean, especially compared to me, but you have more experience with like the variety of these games, or just this franchise or series, or ones that are similar.
Mhm.
Do you personally find that this one is like it's different, but is it quote unquote better, or is it just it's doing its own thing, or do you like the differences, or what do you think?
It's doing its own thing.
Yeah.
I think it does a good job with the thing that it's doing as well. But I also think it's easier to miss what this game's trying to do and then not have a good time with it. I feel like if you don't engage, the other ones, again, since they're just throwing stuff at you and you're trying to not die. If you were trying to not die also, which feels like a pretty, like that should be your goal, right?
Yeah.
Without much thought.
Yeah.
Whether you can do it or not is like separate from whether you're like, yes, I'm trying not to fail.
Right. Of course.
So you can like engage with what the game's doing very easily. But here it's like, if you don't engage with the chaining system, you're not going to score all the points you need because the game is expecting you to die, but you'll have like it's giving you lives very generously.
Yeah.
But you have to earn those lives by scoring all these points with all the and it wants you to find those hidden levels because the hidden levels are like cooler. The hidden levels are better than most of the regular levels.
I saw them, but I never actually got the chance to play them. Like I didn't know that there were any, and then when I was looking at more of the games, like, oh, there's hidden level. Like I just was not good at this game. I just
yeah,
like
they just give you that
teases you
little
with
like
it.
yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like, here, when you see this, we're not telling you what to do, but like this is a moment where you should figure something out. It's tough moments because it's like, oh, here's 6 blue ships. There's 1 red ship. If you destroy a single blue ship, you will not unlock the secret level. But if you like wait
Oh,
just
is that
long
what it
enough,
was?
the blue ship will kind of
Oh.
retreat, and then the red ship will be left all alone, and you kill the red ship, and then you'll fly over the space station or through a canyon or something that you wouldn't have anyway. You still have to survive long enough to like get to the end. It's not like it brings you right to the special level.
Right.
But
right.
the secret
Which to
levels are
Jiggy's
like,
point, that's sort of a shared Star Fox 64 type thing too, right? Where if you find
yeah.
out what you need to do, you sort of solve that mini like real time puzzle,
Mhm.
and then you move on to like a different path. Kind of thing.
It's got a lot of similar elements to something like Star Fox, or Star Fox has a lot of similar elements to something like this, I should say.
Right, because it would have come
It's
before it.
yeah.
Or games
It's
in,
cool.
in this.
It's really
genre.
the perspective that's like dramatically different. It's
Yeah.
just like top
Yeah.
down versus, and this is more like a roguelite type situation.
well, it's like if you fail you can beat Star Fox 64 without being any good at that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or
and
come
then
very
it's like
close
40
at least. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like I played for 40 minutes and I don't know if I enjoyed myself. But if you engage with the game the way it wants to be, and you get much better at like taking down a higher percentage of enemies, and you find the secrets, and then you're like, oh, this game rules. This game's actually amazing. There's so much this game has to offer. I just have to be willing to like engage with it and notice it and want to be part of what it's doing. But yeah, 'cause I remember like the very first time I played it, I feel like I was too young to really get it.
Oh yeah,
So
sure.
I
Yeah.
was like, well, yeah, that was fun, but like,
What am I
okay.
doing?
And then I went back
Okay.
to it I went back to it later and played more and was like, oh, actually, this game like fucking rules. This game rips.
Right.
But it took some time.
There's one mechanic. I'm just curious if you know what it actually does. If you press down, I think it's down on the C button, you do like your little thruster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What the heck does that actually do? Other than just make a big...
It changes the speed of your ship. So it says...
Does it actually?
Yeah, in the top left corner where it says like low, medium, high.
Yeah,
that's your speed.
No kidding.
So there are times where you want to go slower. I think it's more noticeable with some of the ships they show the speeds when you're doing the like ship select.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be more noticeable for some of them than others.
Okay.
It's like the jumps in velocity are more significant or less.
Okay. But... I didn't know. I was like, what is this doing? And I kept tapping it, and I didn't know.
So the only reason why I figured that out, or I ended up looking it up, is how I didn't just naturally get it. But like with these games, if you're emulating it, for example, which I did, I've said this before. It's like, oh, it would have helped to look up the manual, because I probably would have told you, right? What I did was like, what is that mid thing in the top left? Like, what is that mid? What, like mid power? Am I not picking up enough points? Like, what? Am I only doing okay? Like, what does that mean? So I looked it up, and it was the speed. Otherwise,
I never even questioned that. I never even I was just like mid. Okay.
At least this one starts in the middle, because I think there's some of them where you start on the lowest speed. And you're like, wow, I feel like I'm flying a tank through space.
And then tank controls in space? What? I didn't really get into a lot of variety of choosing different ones. Maybe I should have, and that would have helped me out or whatever. I had a pretty good time playing this game. I don't know. It's weird because there was the most experience I have with this genre of game, where it's
see, they were supposed to just take out the reds there.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Oh, that's one of the ones. See, I probably was just like, blow everything up. That's my...
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's good to know, because now when I get to this level next, which it's easy to pick up and play this game, which I think is a big plus. I enjoy that about just like this genre or these style of games. Mark, because you have like a decent amount of sort of experience with games like this or ones in the franchise and stuff and similar... One of the games, it's one of the first games I remember playing, because it was like a demo and we had computers that basically didn't run anything. And this was just before I got my SNES, was a game called Raptor. I think there's a subtitle to it too. That's the game in this genre that I played the most growing up. And it was like a 2-level demo on my cousin's PC. And like, that's what it was. And you're just like an army ship, and you're flying, and you're just trying to survive basically and stuff. So that game wasn't that intense, and it's one that I just remember the most. And then I turned this one on and I was like, holy shnikes, like I got to think about what I'm doing here. And then the dodge, like you said, is a big part of it. And like, I don't know if these games are my thing anymore, because like I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like, oh, this is incredible. This is like this is like exactly what I wanted from this type of game. Or maybe I'm just not good at it, and that's what ruined part of my experience. Again, I don't think it's like a really on the game all that much. I think part of it's my own fault, but it didn't click in the way that I thought I might have. And I think maybe if I give it more time, and I'm sort of like we're sort of watching someone right now as we talk, sort of basically know exactly what this boss fight is going to do and how.
Yeah, they're not even using the reflect thing. They're just like,
literally
just like, if I sit in this corner, I avoid everything.
Yeah, which is a skill in itself, right? To know how to do that, when, where, all those things. Yeah, memorization. It's memorizing boss patterns and stuff. Or just in general, a game like this, memorizing the patterns of all the ships leading up to that point too, right? That's a big part of it, and a way to multiply that score that we were talking about. So I don't know that I would ever get to that point specifically. But I think if I put maybe even just a little bit more time or a couple more hours or something, I'd be like, oh, this is like really gelling, really clicking. So I think I might have missed that just a touch, but I do see how this is a pretty nuanced game, but like below the surface kind of thing. So I think on surface level, it just looks like I mentioned on my silly little quip off the top, hold on to the A button and just try to survive, essentially. And like, I guess you could do that. You probably won't do great. You'll maybe make it a couple of levels if you get lucky with your pickups and stuff. But to get to that fourth, fifth, sixth stage, which I think there's 6 in total, you need to know what you're doing when you get to like 5 and 6, especially.
Yeah, the end
sure.
the end game, the last secret area, and then 5, 6 are like,
that's
if
hard.
the whole game was like this, a lot of more people would have put it down earlier.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's actually true, because like the first stage is pretty simple and pretty easy, and like I think that the progression of the difficulty I found actually totally made sense and was really good. I kept getting my ass kicked in the 6th one. Like I couldn't get past it. And that's fine. That's part of learning the game and whatever, right? But yeah, I liked it. I just didn't like it as much as I thought I would, I think.
Also, you're kind of blaming yourself for this, but I will say, like, I like this game. I think it's a good game. I'm not like, I mean, I have played a lot of shoot 'em ups,
right?
A lot, and like, this is a good game. I like this game.
Yeah.
I'm coming on a podcast to talk about this game because I like it.
I mean, hey, we've had people come on. Superman's a perfect example where we had Jake come on and just say, "Let's just play a shitty game." So hey, it happens.
But if I was trying to like turn someone on to shoot 'em ups or make them feel the way that I feel when I play, just like this is not what I would suggest.
Right.
So you got you're being a little hard on yourself, but like I could probably suggest some things to you if I knew a little more about like the kinds that have interested you, and I might be able to show you the one that will change your life.
I wish I could list off how many in this genre I have played in the last 10 to 15 years. I would maybe be able to count it. I for sure I'd be able to count it on one hand. Like it's just not one in recent memory, at least, that I could remember. I mean, they're not as popular as they were either, right? Like this was a 90s genre. It was an arcade genre and stuff. I in my experience, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would definitively be, oh, this is that game from the last, let's say 15 years or something. But maybe they just haven't been on my radar, and maybe that's on me. I don't know.
Knowledge. So.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually been like a huge revival, but it's still niche. Like you have to be looking for it.
Right. Maybe that's the simple. Instead of me rambling for 2 minutes, maybe I just should have said niche, and that would have solved it.
Well, no, I mean they did go underground. They were it.
Yeah.
Space Invaders was the biggest game in the world at one point.
Right.
And then Xevious was one of the most influential games ever.
Yeah.
Huge in Japan, sold well on the NES, and there was like a string of all that stuff. Galaga is still super popular.
I love
Galaga's great. Oh my god.
But fighting games, pushed shoot 'em ups out of the arcades. So,
right.
Or at least out of like their primo position. And
right.
Then like the Sega Saturn was the system that had the most of them for like at home, and that sold even fewer systems than the N64 did by like a lot.
Decent margin. Yeah, that's the one console, or not only console, but one of the quote unquote mainstay consoles that I have almost zero experience with. Like I was part of the problem. So
I've got one.
You got one? Oh, there's one in the store near me, and I was so tempted, but I'm like, but then it's going to be an investment. I got to get into it. It's just one thing at a time. Let's go through the N64.
My friend had one. We'd always hunt for games like for him. I'd be like, dude, I'm at a store. They have Saturn games. Like, do you want any of these? And I'd send him a picture. I'm trying to remember what it was. It's just like the weirdest game because it's got Kirk Cameron, if you know who that is, the actor, like the '90s actor, maybe late '80s. I'm trying to think of the show he was in. He does like a lot of Christian content now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He's
he was in Growing Pains.
He was like Growing Pains, yeah.
The older brother in Growing Pains.
Yes, yes, and he was in this game in like the cutscenes. It was like, it was like a weird
FMV
like medieval
stuff. Yeah.
Yes, it was like a weird medieval thing, and it was like build your like fortress sort of a thing, and like zombies would come at night. I don't know what this game was called. I can't remember, but I remember it being The Horde. Is it called The Horde? I'm gonna have to Google it real quick.
It says The Horde. Yeah, that's when I look it up. We type in his name and video game, The Horde pops up.
That is like one of the few games I played on Sega Saturn. Yes, this is it. This is it. I'm just looking at the image of the game. This
What
is
is
it.
happening in this game?
Dude, it's hilarious.
Well, I will say
And the
that that
cutscenes
box
are
art is
fantastic.
incredible.
The cutscenes are fantastic. You need to just like watch the cutscene, like the opening cutscene. It's so funny.
We can do that if you want.
And yeah, it's Kirk Cameron. It's totally worth it.
I'm
Played
gonna
a
do
couple
that.
other Saturn games too, like Knights and is
Oh,
it
yeah.
Bugs? It's like or
Oh, yeah.
Zapper?
Yeah.
Zapper? Bugs? I think I'm mixing games together.
Oh, this guy's streaming it.
No, it's just I think it's just Bug
Yeah, Bug. Yeah. I played that one.
with an
I didn't
exclamation
really
point.
I didn't really care for Bug.
Ah,
It's probably a
Did
good
Bug
thing we
have a-
didn't get
did
that
Bug have a
Sonic
sequel?
Extreme.
Yeah, Bug
I
2.
think it-
Bug
yeah,
2,
I think it
Bug
did.
2 was supposed to be the good one. Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Bug
Crystal
Tears of the
Dynamics
Wild.
made the
Oh.
Horde. Crystal Dynamics made it.
Dude, I'm
What?
telling you. It's awesome, dude.
Being a ruler is a difficult business. I thought you could handle it, but I see that I was wrong.
Shall I alert the executioners,
Oh,
sire?
that's
No,
that guy's
the
familiar.
cook.
I don't know what they're doing here.
Along with the use of my mighty
there he
sword, Grim Thwacker. It served me well in defending the kingdom from the evil, insatiable, terrifying horde.
There's like a,
Amazing,
it's like a,
right?
a
Why is there
laugh
a
track. What is happening?
It's crazy, dude. That's like one. I love that game. It was so
Hilarious.
fun. I would totally play through the whole thing. I want to get a Saturn just
I
for
love
that
how, I
game.
love how I just played a clip from a Saturn game, whereas I can just like maybe play the audio clip from the game we're talking about. Anyways, through all that noise, I thought the music was actually kind of good.
Yeah, I was like,
like
it's,
that.
Yeah,
it's
good
hard
soundtrack.
to sit there and focus on the music when you just the
Yeah, here the opening.
whole. It does slap. It is good. Solid.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? I'm a huge
remember
fan
who
of the
composed it.
early Double Dragon games. It kind of reminded me of a Double Dragon
Oh.
soundtrack. Yeah, like that high pitched synth, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, it
reminded
does
me of
have
that.
that kind of vibe. Like,
Like Super Double Dragon. Play that, which I
Yeah.
love that game, and then play this, and it felt similar. But maybe that's just because I have so much experience playing that particular Super Double Dragon game. So
oh yeah, I was gonna say Streets of Rage. I was trying to
Or
remember.
Streets of
I was
Rage.
like totally blanking. I'm like,
Yeah.
it does have that sort of vibe. Like,
yeah, it's keeping you
This was
upbeat
his-
while you're
this was
beating
the
people. up.
composer's-
Yeah.
This
What's
was
that,
the
Mark?
composer's first. This was the composer's first game that he composed. 'Cause he was
cool.
on. He was like a sound programmer of sound effects in previous games.
Oh wow,
Um,
nice.
But he has done most of the Mario Party games.
Oh no
Ichiro
way.
Shimamura. Yep.
didn't
Well, 'cause
Hudson,
a lot of
Hudson made
Hudson-
Mario Party?
Yeah,
right?
Hudson
Or
made Mario
they-
Party, and then when Hudson got absorbed by Konami, or even while Hudson was still existing, but they weren't doing Mario Party anymore, ND Cube was formed by a bunch of former Hudson employees, and like as a Nintendo studio making Mario Party. So-
okay, nice.
That's where a lot of the former Hudson devs ended up going. Not all of them, but
Look at
there's
that.
probably more former Hudson devs at Nintendo than there are in the place that like ate
Started it.
Hudson.
Yeah.
Look at that. We're full circle. Okay, we started this conversation about the N64 controller and the joystick and it breaking, and now we're back to. Oh yeah, by the way, the people that made this game is Hudson, who also made Mario Party, which is the game notorious for breaking your N64 controller joysticks.
And your
Boom.
It
hands.
didn't break.
Yeah.
It didn't break my joystick. But I definitely had the.
You had the palm
Blister.
thing, yeah,
Pom
me
pom,
too.
yeah. Yeah, me too.
You know what blows my mind? I think like there's a certain amount of people that probably learn from someone else, like, oh, that's how you play that minigame. But you
Right.
just naturally, like, if you isolated like 6 kids, they all played Mario Party, they
Right.
all played this game, you just naturally know that
Just
oh, this is how I can make it go
spin it
hella
around.
fast.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
That's
like
true.
you gotta account for that.
Yeah. And
Well, it's the same thing as when you like turn the controller so you can like slam, press the button. It's like you're not going
Oh.
to be able to press it,
I do that.
Like
when I
I
do the
don't
AB
can't press
thing,
with
I do it sideways
Yeah.
and I'm like.
Yeah, because I can push faster with. I'm left-handed. I feel like it gives me. I can do more with this one than I would
Left-handed
with normally
especially
with the.
would make a difference. Yeah, for sure. I think
So it's
what
the
I've
same
done,
thing.
it's harder to do with the 64 controller just because of the shape of it. But like if it was a SNES one or some, that's flat, I would put it on the floor or on the chair or on my lap and use both my fingers to back and
Listen,
forth.
we can't talk about this anymore. I'm having like Mad Canary Mary like flashbacks right now from Banjo-Tooie. I'm just like, I can't. My fingers like are getting sore just thinking about it.
Well, actually, recently we just played Rayman 2 like a month ago or something.
Oh,
and
yeah, that
those
mini game,
those
the
mini game.
bonus
That's what
level.
I did. I put it on my lap and I was like balancing it on my knee while I was playing it. And I was like
Okay.
back and forth.
I would go back and forth by pressing the buttons like this,
Yeah.
and then I'd be like, and then I switch to my thumb, and then go back and forth like this, and then I go, and then switch back.
Sorry, what would you do?
I
would
What
tell
was that sound? What was that?
You capture that, soundbite that later for future reference. I will say
I get- oh, go ahead.
I played the N64 version of Rayman 2 like a billion times.
Yeah.
But this last experience, I played the Dreamcast version because I was just like, I'm going to play the different version to get a slightly different experience. And I will say the N64 controller is a much more pleasurable experience for those bonus levels. The buttons on the Dreamcast feel like mushier. They're not bad. It's not that it feels bad. It's just like comparatively, they don't like bounce back as fast. So I feel like it was like holding me back.
Are they smaller too? I feel like they are smaller.
They're smaller.
Yeah.
They are
Okay.
smaller.
Yeah, that makes a
Like,
difference.
I have them stored in the back, but
Yeah, but especially as
Yeah,
like
there's
an
something-
adult, like a smaller
weird.
like primary button or buttons like that would make a
Yeah.
difference. Like if the size of the C buttons were the main A B on a 64, like that would feel weird. I think like if
Yeah.
if that was
Yeah.
A and B, the size of those. So
we need to go back. We need to go back to the GameCube. Every button's got to be like that A button. Let's just make them really big, really big.
But then
The
you're
bigger
gonna
the
have a
better.
controller that's the size of the Xbox Duke.
I don't care.
Which I like. I like that
Dude,
controller.
I think that's dope.
yeah.
I think we.
But
need
it
to go back
wouldn't
to
have
giant
wasted space
controllers.
because all the buttons would be giant. So.
Yeah. And analog triggers, dude. I could make the perfect controller. Come on, somebody hire me just to
Somebody.
design it. I don't. Give me $10. Buy me dinner. I'll just draw it for you. I'll draw you the perfect controller, and then you handle the rest, and I'm out.
I would like to know where you go to dinner for $10.
Well,
$10 is
I-
in addition to dinner, I think.
Oh,
$10 was
okay.
like that's
My
payment.
mistake, my
And I was
mistake.
like, and dinner. That is what I was trying to get because I'm gonna milk them for all they're worth. We're going to like Red Lobster or something.
Red Lobster. Isn't Red Lobster gone now too? Maybe you'll save it.
probably.
Maybe you'll save
Is
it.
it?
I
That
think
was
so.
the only like
No.
semi cheap fancy restaurant I could think of.
All right, so I'm going to bring us full circle in another way, since
Yes,
we're talking
please.
about hitting the controller really fast. So, the guy who was an attraction at the caravans for Hudson was Takahashi Meijin, because he ended up being like their promotional guy. Like he didn't do development or anything, but he was an employee for the company. He was like face of the company, like public face of the company. They used his likeness for the Adventure Island character.
Oh.
But he could press 17 shots per second, which was huge for a game like Star Soldier. Back in the day, because you didn't have the auto fire, you couldn't hold the button down.
You had to press
You
it.
shot as fast as you pressed. So he could do 17 shots per second, but they actually like lied and said he could do 16 because he liked the way it sounded better. But he straight up shaved off a shot per second. But he's just got this like inhuman press speed, and he like designed an analog stick, like a Hudson analog stick to use on the Famicom, which I would love to like
Wow.
get.
That
my
is
hand
an
on it, but
absolutely crazy number.
it's and
How
he can
do
still.
How do you do that? I can't even.
Yeah, like I want to see a video. Just
Yeah,
wanna
they're,
know. What does that
I
look
mean, you
like?
can- I am sure you can.
You probably can't even see
Like,
it.
It's like a Flash Speed Force thing, where how it like freezes everything. You know,
Yeah. What's
Like
the
everyone
name?
else
It
is,
what's
like,
the guy's
moving
name again?
Takashi.
Takashi. Yeah. Let me see if I can
Takashi.
find.
And when you said his likeness, I thought you were about to say for the bee.
Let's see. Here, I'll
The Hudson Bee.
see if that
Oh,
that might be it.
Takashi Iizuka. No, I know who that is.
Yeah.
That's not him. That's
No.
the guy who won't give me the Chow Garden.
Let's see.
Oh, I dropped
Oh my
one in the.
gosh!
Yeah. Did you see
Oh
that?
my gosh! No, that's not fapping. That is him pressing the button super fast.
Yeah, it's nuts. So he's like,
16.
they had him do the Star Soldier R1 during that challenge event. They included the second thing they did in addition to the 2-minute and the 5-minute caravan was they did a like shots per second challenge.
Oh.
And they had online leaderboards for it and everything. And I think I got up to, I think my highest was probably like 10.5.
That's pretty sweet. Holy shit. That's great.
Like, that's good. He was still doing, this is 20 plus years after he was like famous for it.
And he was still doing it.
Oh my gosh,
He was doing almost 12.5 shots per second.
That's crazy.
Which is
like,
Okay, I'm not even kidding. If anybody's ever watched The Flash on CW, when they go to like vibrate their hand as like a weapon to like kill people,
right.
his hand is doing that right now.
It's
literally
super speed.
like blurred. Like,
yeah, they didn't
I
even
don't
go around in the
understand
van and like show off doing that. But
So the little
playing the game
controller
while
thing
doing it,
measures
so-
how fast, like that little controller that you can hear him clicking is measuring how fast he's actually pressing the button. And it has a little number that pops up and says, at least in this particular video, I think at the end it said 16, but I think that's
this is gonna sound
Yeah, it makes
bizarre,
sense.
but I would love to get like an X-ray of his wrist to just see it like in motion. Like what's moving in his hand that's making it do that?
I think it's, wouldn't it be like your elbow more than anything? Like I'm trying to think of like you would keep your wrist maybe stiff so that you can, like, I'm just trying to think of how you would do that. And I feel like it would have to be,
maybe that's the technique.
Yeah.
We got to know what muscle he's using, because like for me it just goes right to my forearm. And listen, I got a decent forearm. It's
Look at you.
solid.
Jeez.
It's solid. Look at that. Look at
Look
that.
at you
I
and
can
your
flex
youth.
it. Okay. And I can, the power of youth.
The power of not having a child.
I feel like if we have a video of this, it's gonna like be a meme online. I should stop doing that.
Power of youth. Power of youth
So
with
he-
a in the back.
I had
So
my
how-
hand in the air for the listeners, and I was doing the motion. You know what I was doing?
I mean, I have the video. I can make it happen.
Oh, my bad.
So Hudson's no more.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Takahashi mentioned
Darn
is
it.
still out there though. He partnered in a game that came out in the last few years called Stargagnant. I think that's how you say it. It's out on the Switch. I think it's out on Steam too. And that whole game is unlike a lot of other stuff where it's like, here's auto fire. This game is designed around the idea of shooting as fast as you can. Then you have to press the button, but like it is built into the gameplay. It's not just like, oh, shoot a lot and you'll do better. Like the concept of keeping your shots per second up high is built into it. So, I mean, you want to talk about like you're getting tired 30 minutes into playing a game or whatever. I was like playing and trying to like move up in the leaderboards in that game, and I was doing well enough that I wanted to keep doing that. And I was just like, oh my god, this is exhausting. Like, how do you just play
I've seen this game. It's got a whole bunch of like scores on the side, and it has all these like different sort of gauges on like on your
Yes.
HUD and stuff. Yeah. I've seen this.
Yeah, the higher your rapid fire is, the more points you're getting. In addition to it, like helping you sustain the chain that you have, which gives you even more points. Yeah,
It has a cool like cartoony style and stuff too. Like the art style of it's really cool.
Yeah, it was made by
crazy.
Terrorin, the company I mentioned earlier. Who does a ton of these kind of throwbacks, even though it's like a one-person studio, as far as I can tell. I don't know about the music, but yeah, like the rest of it is one person. And
Damn.
yeah, he partnered with Mejin and did something based on the thing he's like most known for.
That's awesome. It's a cool looking game. That actually before I sort of forget, just because I mentioned Jiggy's trying to press the controller. I know I
recreate
can't.
it.
I don't have a.
Crazy.
Oh, I have an Xbox controller beside me.
I'm just blown away. That was the craziest visual I've ever seen. I just can't believe his hand was just blurred. It was moving so fast.
Yeah,
But like you can
crazy.
understand why, like the caravans took off when it's like we have to go
Yeah.
see the person do the impossible thing and like play a game doing
Yeah.
that.
absolutely.
This is 5 years after. I think it's 5 years after like Space Invaders, which
Yeah,
like
right.
Space Invaders blew
Yeah.
everyone away.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously like that's it was great, but like man, slow moving compared to the guy who's like, watch me press this button 17 times per second.
Watch me blow your mind and not break this controller by going crazy with it. Like watch, like that's insane. That's some real freaking skill, man. Like that's really impressive. That's impossible.
What if, like, do you think he uses that as like a, not like a party trick, but like he goes somewhere and he like I just imagine him trying to pick up a girl or something, and he's just like, check this out. He's like, I was really big in the '90s. He's just like, okay.
And
Like, what does he carry around that little thing everywhere? He's like,
oh
watch.
yeah.
I mean, I would.
What is
It's
something cool?
Why would you not?
Yeah. Hey, you gotta work with what you're best at, man. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Can't even-
I mean, he
I
has
don't know.
not one but two video game characters modeled after him. So you know.
Yeah, you said the Adventure Island. What's the other one?
Oh,
Not
it's
the
the
other
Star Gagnant. He's like
Oh,
he's
okay.
like the captain in it. Like his likeness is in it. But
The Adventure Island one's a little insulting, but I do remember it.
Yeah.
If you see a picture of him in the '80s where he's like wearing a baseball hat and like just kind of standing around, you're like, no, okay, I see it. Like, yeah, that's
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
that's him. How about that? Because I feel like that looks a little weird, and I think when I wrote about Adventure Island, I put like a photo of him and a photo of the character.
yeah.
I was like, oh shit, that is him. How about that?
It's not too bad, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Oh yeah, here we go.
86. Is that what it is? Yeah. So that's, you know, people should look it up because it's pretty yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a shirt on there, you know, it's unlike his video game counterpart, but
Yeah. At least he's got it. But is he wearing a hula skirt?
There it
That's the
is.
question. Is it?
but like that's him, you know? You're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah.
On vacation. You know, no shirt when on vacation.
There you go. There. This is what he does on his spare time on vacation, or just you know, when he just decides to cruise an island. That's, you know,
Yeah.
it's fine.
I
And it
can't
he wears
see
the
it.
shirt.
But it'd be so funny. It'd be like, yeah, we based this video game character off of you, the main character. Really? And then you go in and it's just like,
He stands there like,
okay,
oh.
this is how you see me? Are those, what are those? Are those my nipples?
If you want them to be, they can be.
How did you know?
How did you know? I only come to work shirtless on Sundays. You never see me. Oh,
It was
man.
one time.
It was only that one time. Adventure Island, Game Boy. Oh yeah. Oh, these games. Okay. Star Soldier, everybody. Might be a little hard and expensive to kind of find the cartridge at this point, or apparently the box.
Oh. Did you mess with the difficulty at all?
Oh yes, I did. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I did. There's no chance I was going to get to the 6th stage on the normal difficulty. Not this.
Yeah, I will say
Just-
though, it feels very cheap to not do the regular difficulty. Like, I would never do the expert difficulty. Like, that's not me. But going to beginner, like swapping it down, your weapon is just automatically like the highest, which I feel like that's a fundamental. It feels like cheating, basically. It feels like cheating.
Is
It's
it
like a
automatic? I
fundamental
thought there
part of
was
the
like
game.
one. I thought there was like at least one that you pick up that ups it a bit. No, am I
I'm
wrong?
pretty sure it just starts off max power, and
Oh,
that
okay.
it just feels like that's like a part of the essential like gameplay, like being able to pick up these power ups and retain your power ups. So it feels cheap, and I
That's
just
true.
would recommend don't soil your experience. Like, just try to get good and at least play through a couple levels. I
Yeah,
just wanted to highlight that.
I think on the normal one I might have made it to 4. I think so. I didn't do too bad, but
Yep.
if the first couple feel like a little too tough, I wouldn't say shy away from trying the easy one, but maybe you'll get a better handle of the way things
No, I would.
feel.
I'd say if they feel a little tough to you, you just probably suck. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
Hey, I am not questioning. I've said that from the beginning. I do not question
Hey, man,
that.
I'm not saying I'm good. I sucked,
But
but
you're
I can
better.
acknowledge it. You
But
know,
you're better. That's
you got to keep practicing. You got to know where to sit on the screen so you can't be hit. Period.
it. Yeah, apparently some of the guys that we're watching here. It's
All
it is
instinct.
it is skill though. It's not one of those games where you can just sort of, bulldoze your way through it. Like it seems like that. It definitely appears to be that. And maybe the first level you can pull that off, maybe, but after that you really got to sort of focus on it, whether you're going for a score or whether you're just going to survive and get from through each mission and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Just try to survive.
Try to survive. Try to survive. Don't worry about the score. You'll get it. And Mark, you've mentioned it a couple times too, but like the 2 and 5 minute mode things, I forgot about that earlier, but I found those pretty fun. I like those. Sort of a bite-sized thing, and just sort of I played up my own scores and tried to beat my own scores a couple times, and 2 minutes feels like, oh yeah, you can get through the first stage kind of in a couple minutes and stuff, but 5 minutes is like, oh, this is like, it's a little bit of an endurance test too. It's not easy, and it is interesting to sort of try and approach it with different ships in different ways and stuff like that. I found that to be a pretty fun idea, and I actually gravitated to them more than I thought I would. I thought they would just be kind of like a throwaway option, but I liked them. I thought they were pretty fun.
That's the power of the caravan,
Yeah.
They're enjoyable even when you don't have the actual van attached to it. So,
Don't worry, Jiggy's
Power of the
gonna find that
caravan.
van. Jiggy's gonna find the van.
I
van is
totally
pretty
would look.
fun.
I want to know. That would be sick.
It's that or the
Let me
Oscar
see.
Mayer Wiener car. Like let's get a
The dream.
combo. The dream.
It's
The dream garage.
Let's see. It's a
Dude,
cool looking
those
van.
vans are pretty cool looking.
They are. Yeah.
Oh man, the art and everything.
Yeah, it is cool.
Dang, they're like school bus covered or colored, not covered, colored. They look awesome. They have
Yeah.
art on the side. Oh man, if I saw that pull up, I'd be like, "What is?"
Yeah. Oh, I'd
They
be,
did
I'd be in line for that.
they
for sure.
did shoot 'em ups most of the time for the caravans, but at one point they made like a Bomberman one that was, they made an HD TV for it essentially in like 93.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and they had this there, and it was 10-player HD widescreen, so that it could fit all the players in 1993.
Oh, I see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
And
see the
think
van.
only-
I see a...
Yeah, it was at
Wow.
one of the caravans.
Wow, widely regarded. Bomberman 1993 is widely regarded as the first HD video game.
Oh.
Wow. That's a really cool fact. I never knew. Holy cow. Go Bomberman. Bomberman deserves more.
Yeah, that is cool looking. Yeah, people gotta look that up. Look up that sort of big screen sort of. That's crazy. Yeah, because to be able to fit all those people and the players and stuff. Wow. Never Bomberman.
Yeah, and it's
kid
like the
growing up.
only
Yeah.
the only thing that it was used for. It's not like High 10 Bomberman was released anywhere else, because like, what were you gonna do?
How
had
could
no
you?
systems that
Yeah.
were gonna have 10 people, and you didn't have HD at the time, so it was like,
There'd be no
Okay,
other
we'll
way to
just do
pull
it
it off.
separate.
That's true. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's so wild. Yeah, that experience was so singular, like so exclusive. To be able to experience
I'm
that.
really
That's
jealous.
awesome. Yeah. High 10 Bomberman.
I wasn't.
Amazing.
I wasn't even. I was a twinkle in my daddy's eye at that point.
I
I was almost here, but I was just a twinkle still.
I was getting my SNES
Well-
and Game Boy, I think, in 92, 93.
Like-
So
it's like- now that I say that, it's possible I may have been almost here.
depends where the caravan was, right? Just kind of depends on where that van was headed that month.
Yeah, that was crucial to my existence.
That big screen TV, the first HD Bomberman, was crucial to your existence. You didn't even know it. You learn something new every day. Happy we can help, Jiggy. Mark, before we get out of here, let's remind everybody where they can find you online and your writing too.
Sure. I'm where am I these days? I'm on Blue Sky. It's just my name, I'm pretty sure. Do I have no hyphen or anything. Just marcnormandin.bsky.social. I didn't give myself a special address or anything, like some people have done. It seems like work, I had to verify some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. Yeah.
Fair.
My writing is RetroXP.beehive. That's with 2 eyes.com.
Beehive.
Beehive. Damn, that was good. I didn't see that coming.
You can sign up. You can sign up for that newsletter. It's free. It's a lot of words. I think today's the one I published today was like 3,400 words on a different shoot 'em up that is even more obscure. So I'm not always writing about those. It just happened to line up that way.
We're just really good at what we do here at the show. So just
I would, if I wrote about them as much as I wanted to, I think I would probably have fewer subscribers. So, I try and keep it to it's like I'm normal about them, and not that I have some kind of problem that people not know about.
Problem, skill, call it whatever you want.
He sits in his Hudson van and
I show up at Paste Magazine a couple times a month. Again, usually writing about older games, but sometimes with a review of something new, sometimes with some kind of take on something going on in the news. That's the video game stuff
Nice.
for the most part.
Nice.
Cool.
And Jiggy, March, April-ish, as this episode is released. How's things going, buddy? You're always busy. You're always kicking ass, taking names. I know you're playing a couple games and streams and stuff. How's everything going?
Oh yeah. I've been playing Quest 64, which I've never experienced before. I think you did an episode on it, right?
No, I've never played it.
Okay.
I've never.
Well,
played
I look forward to the day we're gonna do an episode on it.
Me too.
It's actually not that bad. I'm surprised that people always have this notorious, at least this is my experience, and I'm like 6 hours into the game maybe. And I'm just like, it's very grindy, and I could see why that would rub people the wrong way, but it's very charming and it feels good to play. It was interesting.
Great.
I'm not saying it's a 10 out of 10 game, but I'm not saying it's a 1 out of 10 that I keep seeing everyone, kind of talking about it notoriously. I'm like, I'm having fun with it, and it's silly, and it's great.
You're having fun.
Well, it's fine.
It's like Star Soldier is to the Saturn, where you're like, hey, this is good, but the Saturn has better shoot 'em ups. Like Quest 64. This is a system that doesn't have a ton of RPGs, so everyone compares it to it's on the PlayStation instead of just kind of
or compares it to Paper Mario or something, which is in my opinion, a fantastic game,
great.
Right? And that's that I get it. I see why people gravitate towards that. So
it's fun. So that's the immediate thing, and then I got a couple videos in the works.
Yeah,
which is I always do.
As you do, sir. Remember 64 does as well, not quite as much as Jiggy does, but as I mentioned earlier, across YouTube, across social media, Remember 64 show. When I say across social media, pretty much just Instagram and Blue Sky. That's pretty much where everything's going to be happening at this point. If you want to support the show, there's a free tier for Patreon as well, but as I mentioned earlier, you can get some stuff exclusively through $1, $3, or $5 a month. You can get some extra stuff there to support the show, but that's pretty much it. Just if you're listening to this when it releases and just before these episodes are about to come out, we have 2 really great episodes. We are getting to the point where it is time to talk Banjo-Kazooie. Episode 64 is here. We have Mr. Jiggy himself with us for so long at this point. It is about time that we got to that. So
There's the Jiggy.
Yeah, there it is. There's the Jiggy. There's the look back. There's
the rare logo.
Yeah, rare logo. Everything's there. So if you're listening to this when it's released or pretty close, Banjo-Kazooie is going to hit your feed as well as talking about the GBA games that were based in that franchise as well. So we want to take a little bit of a detour on an episode about that. A lot of great stuff coming up too for the rest of 2025. But thank you everyone for listening. Mark, thank you for being here, and we will talk to everyone next time. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye. Remember 64 is part of the SuperPod Podcast Network. Oh yeah, we are teamed up with a whole bunch of awesome people that some you may have heard on Remember 64 already, but there's a bunch of different great gaming shows, anywhere from Fine Time to Bar Silence to Retro Wildlands. You can of course find the SuperPod Saga on there, Press B to Cancel, all of these awesome shows that are just here to talk about great times with games, share their thoughts with you, our experiences with you. Check us out, SuperPod Network, on your podcast app of choice, and superpodnetwork.com, where you can find all our shows, blog posts, videos, and more.